Well, I'm here in a summer house down at, now, was Manx Blind Welfare, now Sight Matters. Ian is the man in charge, and we're going to show some lovely pictures here. Not the best day, but it's still an amazing changes here, Ian, you've done. We're talking about what was just a field, wasn't it, a few years ago?
So just a couple of years ago, if you'd been up here, Paul, you'd have seen a field covered in gorse, and I had my chairman regularly saying to me, Ian, we've got to do something with that field. And I took him very seriously and said, yeah, let's do that. And over a period of around about a year, we looked at several different options, find ourselves here today in the Freedom Field.
Well, we are sitting in this beautiful, what do you call it? Is it a gazebo? Is it bigger than that?
I think it's a summer house.
Summer house, I like that.
But a very swanky one, Paul. And something that our viewers might like to know is that we face due west. On another day, looking over to the right-hand side, we'd see Greba Mountain, on the left, South Barrule. But when you're up here in the evening, it really is lovely sitting here and just seeing on a good summer's night the sun settle in the west.
Take us around these areas, because everything's got a sort of reason and some logic to the way you've planned it out.
So the shape of the field is rather like a boomerang, for want of a better description. As we enter on our left-hand side, that's just over to our right now, we have two large semicircular walls. And that's a space that's called Pause for Thought. And the pause is spelled P-A-W-S. And on each part of that wall, on the inner part of the wall, there are going to be 1,000 little hooks. And on those hooks are going to hang anodised paw prints on which people can leave a message about a pet they may have lost. And perhaps it's an inappropriate word, but when the wind blows across them, they'll gently tinkle in the wind. And it's rather like your animal is still making a message or giving a message to us in the world. And just behind that space, there's a retaining wall which is beautifully planted, where again, people who perhaps have lost a pet can leave the scattered remains of their pet in that space and come down here occasionally and reflect on happier times with their animals.
Okay, and this area here?
So right out ahead of us, we've got a beautiful oval, and that's called the Freedom Run. And this is a space designed originally for assistance dogs to be exercised by their owners. And one of the reasons that's really important is because those of us who are dog lovers, we know how we get a wonderful bond with our dog. That's much more important with someone, of course, who's using the dog as a working dog. So if they have other people using the dog to exercise the dog, then the dog is starting to have loyalties to that other person, understandably. Here, the space is secure, the dog can't get away, so the owners, the assistance dog owners, can have that luxury of letting the dog off, letting the dog have fun, and still practice recall and know they can't escape. Labradors are good at that.
Yes. And then wildflowers in that area over there as well.
We've got a really super area at the far end of the boomerang, which is called the Sanctuary. And the Sanctuary is an area designed for reflection, particularly useful for working with people who are going through various challenges in our lives. So for here at Sight Matters, of course, that's people who perhaps have been recently diagnosed with sight loss or are coming across a period of time where that sight loss has actually got worse than it has done before, and where we can sit with our professional staff and talk about coping skills. We're outside, we're with nature, it's easier sometimes to have a conversation, but it isn't just, and the whole facility isn't just for blind and visually impaired people, it's for the wider community, people living with other challenges. And we're hoping to work very closely with organisations like the Community Mental Health Team, and they'll have free access to this facility to use it to work with their clients. I mentioned to you as we walked around the field earlier that next door we've got Hayward Court, which is a 32 apartment facility, and it's, I forget what we call it now, almost like a sheltered housing facility, and we're popping a hole in the hedge, creating an archway and a lovely path so that the people who are resident there can use this space as a recreational area as well.
Now, I know it's a soft launch. It's going to be something later in the year. We can't talk about it. But it's almost done, or is it,
Yeah, there's little tweaks, and I have to say that I'm very grateful to 12 of our members who we've used, if you like, as our commissioning team, and they've been around with white canes and guide dogs and wheelchairs, because a number of our users, our members are wheelchair users, and they've pointed out one or two little glitches, and we're in the process of fixing them. One of the things that I really like about the field is that COVID, for once, has helped us. It's helped us in the sense that we were intended to open this field a year ago, and as a consequence of that, a delay, we've seen a lot of growth in the field. And I don't want to use any clever cliches in our conversation, but I think what we'll see here is a growth in the potential of the field as people get to know about it and hear about this hidden gem in the heart of Onken.
It is beautiful. And do say with us, in part two, I want to talk more about why the name changed and what's going on, because obviously people, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Changed from Manx Blind Welfare to Sight Matters. So join us for part two.